Aviation experts believe the airplane crash in India was primarily due to 1. Incorrect flap setting and 2. Dual engine failure, suggesting a mix of human error and mechanical issues. After yesterday's meeting at Detroit International Airport in Michigan, discussions focused on the possible causes of the recent crash of an Indian Boeing 787 airliner. Three groups participated in the talks to reach a consensus on one cause, while the third proposed an alternative explanation. All positions will remain tentative until the final report from the National Transportation Safety Board (NTSB) is released. Let's examine the conclusions drawn by the two professional aviation groups regarding the likely cause of the crash. Starting with Group B, they suggested that the crash was likely due to fuel contamination, such as water or rust, or cross-contamination from mixing different fuel types with the intended fuel. Any of these factors could lead to a loss of lift after both engines fail, especially if the flaps are not properly extended. To illustrate this concept, imagine what happens when you stretch your wrist while extending your hand outside a car window. At lower speeds, your hand experiences lift, similar to how an aircraft operates with its flaps deployed. However, if you straighten your fingers, your hand will drop. As the car slows down, your hand will fall faster. If you fold your fingers again while keeping the same lower speed, you will notice that your hand regained lift. This demonstrates that an airplane's flaps functions like your fingers. They control lift by adjusting the airflow above the wings, depending on the curvature of the wings. Now, to understand the positions of groups A and C, I'll first explain the aircraft's motion, which will help clarify their perspective. The airplane took off normally and had a positive climb rate until it reached about 625 feet above sea level, ASL, after which it began to descend, potentially due to engine failure. The lone survivor provided crucial information that could assist in future rescue efforts. He reported that the aircraft's climb rate decreased, indicating it could not maintain its normal performance and speed. Observations showed that the airplane began to descend after its climb speed was reduced. This suggests that when one engine failed, the pilot inadvertently shut down the functioning engine instead of the failed one. Although pilots are trained to avoid such errors, mistakenly shutting off the operating engine can happen if they are not continually practicing these procedures in the simulator, especially at low altitudes, where there is a rapid loss of thrust and limited time for recovery. Groups A and C pointed out that restarting an engine that was mistakenly shut down requires anywhere from 30 to 60 seconds at that altitude, time the pilots likely did not have during that critical moment. They also noted that the pilot may not have raised the landing gear since he was likely focused on addressing the more significant issue of a dual engine failure, one shut down by human error and the other by mechanical failure. In support of their argument, Groups A and C referenced the survivor, Ramesh, who reported hearing a sound similar to a door opening or an explosion a few seconds after the aircraft began its slow climb. This suggests that when the pilot inadvertently shut down the wrong engine, the ram air turbine, RAT, deployed immediately, a standard safety feature on the Boeing 787 Dreamliner designed to provide emergency power during a dual-engine failure. According to Groups A and C, one engine failed due to human error, while the other failed due to mechanical issues. You might wonder which group I support. While I appreciate the insight of various aviation experts, including Groups A, B, and C, I have firmed my understanding of this incident. Given this, I have contemplated several strategies that could increase the chances of saving more lives in similar situations. I have learned from experts who have studied similar incidents involving dual engine failure at compatible altitudes. Maintaining situational awareness and preventing loss of control. Both pilots should prioritize maintaining high situational awareness to anticipate potential issues and take appropriate actions. For instance, if Group B is correct, pilots, particularly captains, are ultimately responsible for draining fuel samples from the sumps. This situational awareness also teaches us not to ignore any warning signs. As Group B stated, the flaps might not have been deployed correctly. However, the 787 Dreamliner typically indicates when something is wrong, which could contribute to why pilots overlook the Takeoff Configuration Warning System, TOCWS. Since the weather was clear, their situation worsened when at least one engine failed, distracting them and delaying their reaction due to the unusual airplane performance. In contrast, I learned from Groups A and C that pilots should quickly plan where to land if the aircraft loses both engines at altitude of less than 600 feet, 1,000 feet, 2,000 feet, and beyond, while avoiding buildings as landing options. We are doing our best to apply what we've learned, but ultimately, when God makes his decision, we, as humans, cannot change anything. My heart goes out to the families of those who tragically lost their lives in the Indian Boeing 787 Dreamliner crash.